Now recently I did a JRPG list talking about games I would love to see done in a warrior style, and I thought it was a bit of fun just to be a bit creative and come up with something completely new. Now with this being Final Fantasy February, I thought I'd do something similar, and I looked at inspiration of Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion, and I was thinking about Final Fantasy games which should get a prequel game. Now with that in mind, let's have a look at 6 Final Fantasy games that deserve a prequel game. Let's have a look.
So my first idea was Final Fantasy VIII Beginning, a prequel which would be based purely on Laguna Lore and his 2 companions, Kyros and Ward. Now in Final Fantasy VIII there is flashback sections where you play as the trio and you delve a bit into the past of what has actually happened in the world of Final Fantasy VIII. But what I would love to see here is a full-on expansion similar to the likes of Crisis Core, where they took a small portion of a story and made it into its own full thing. I would absolutely love a return to the turn-based combat similar to Final Fantasy VIII, but obviously it would need to have something in there to kind of make it its own thing. So what do you think of that? Let me know down below and let's see what's next. So my second choice was Dissidia Final Fantasy First Cycle, a return to the Dissidia series. Now in this game I am looking at a prequel story which tells the first cycle of Dissidia. Now in the Dissidia story, basically there is an ongoing cycle, and from my remembering there's about 12 different cycles that these battles go through. So returning to the first one would be a great way to reset the series, because we all know how Dissidia NT went. Now it would be essential for me that this game would return back to the 1v1 style combat, like the original 2 games which were released. However, obviously, if there was ways to expand this for multiplayer use, I know how Dissidia NT went, I know, but for those who want multiplayer, then at least give us the 1v1 for that. This would be a great reset for Square Enix, so if you're listening, get on this. Anyway, do you want to see Dissidia make a return like this, or do you just want to leave it in the dust? Let me know down below. And let's see what is next. So my next idea was Final Fantasy IX Tantalus, a prequel based on Tantalus. Tantalus are the Ragavan group which start off the adventure in Final Fantasy IX. So this would feature the likes of Blank, Zidane, Baku, Sinan, Marcus, just in some prequel adventures before Final Fantasy IX. I really like these characters and I really wish they got more of a spotlight in the original game, and especially with the likes of Blank, who was key in one of the earlier moments. It would just be great to feature more about them. Gameplay wise, I would like a return to the combat system in Final Fantasy IX.
John!
And I swear I just heard something.
John! Hello? John!
Ah, James, I thought I heard someone. Do you have a Final Fantasy prequel you want to tell me about?
Yeah, I have a game suggestion for you. What about Dirge of Cerberus? The Final Fantasy game, you know, on the PS2? Now a lot of people haven't played this, and to be honest with you, there's not a lot of people that know about this game. This game basically was a bit of a failure. However, there was an optional character in Final Fantasy VII called Vincent Valentine, and they actually gave him his own game. Now this is going to be a bit of a tricky one, because basically they gave away a lot of this guy's back history in this game. But I think they could make an amazing prequel for this game, because there is such a rich history surrounding this character, Vincent Valentine. When they were developing Final Fantasy VII, they actually weren't going to put Vincent in the game. He was going to be an optional character, and a lot of people played the game and didn't even know who this character was until Advent Children came out. But if you did play the game and you did find Vincent Valentine, you'd find that this guy actually has quite a rich history in the Final Fantasy lore. So Vincent's dad actually took part in the whole Genova project thing back when it originally first started. And he actually died for the cause because he actually got attacked by Chaos and it ended up killing him. And his partner is called Lucretia. Now Lucretia was absolutely gutted that this happened. She took it really personally and blamed herself for Vincent's father dying. Vincent didn't have a very good relationship with his father, but later on he joined something called the Turks and would later find out that the reason being was he was just another scientist obsessed with the whole Genova project. So Vincent at the time was set out as, when he was working for the Turks, to look after Lucretia, to basically be her bodyguard, not realizing the impact that she'd actually had on his father's life. So what am I proposing for the prequel? Well, this is what I'm thinking. There is so much that's alluded to in Dirge of Cerberus that could be covered and expanded and really fleshed out. Because Dirge of Cerberus, unfortunately, was an action JRPG shooter. I mean, why they thought that was a good idea, I don't know. But they chose to go with this direction. They really tried to flesh out the earlier parts of Vincent Valentine's history and lore. However, I don't know, man. I just think they could have done a lot better job, and there is definitely a lot that can be talked about. And just as a final note, what I would like to say is, I would like to see them redo Dirge of Cerberus, or at least certain points of it. The game was done in third person, and I think this really needed to be an action RPG, not an action RPG shooter. So that's just my 10 cents, but I'm always down for more Final Fantasy, right?
Thank you for your suggestion, James. Make sure to check him out at his channel, The Review Ting. Now moving on, we have Final Fantasy VII Avalanche, a prequel based on the three titular characters of Avalanche, Jesse, Biggs and Wedge. Now, Final Fantasy VII Remake really fleshed these characters out and made people fall in love with these characters. In the original Final Fantasy VII, they were just there for a few minutes and then boom, gone. But in the remake, they are fully fleshed out, and giving them more of a spotlight would be fantastic for the fans. Especially with Rebirth coming out, you could maybe slip in some DLC there, maybe? What do you think about this? Do you think this is a rubbish idea? Do you think this is a great idea? Let me know. Anyway, let's see what the last suggestion for today is. And my final thought is Kingsglaive Final Fantasy 15. And you might be thinking, whoa, this is already a thing. It's already a film. Now, I really enjoyed this film, and I'd really love to see an adaptation done as a video game, playing as the main protagonist in the film, Nyx. Some of the battle sequences in this film, I really wish we would have been able to play out in the main Final Fantasy 15 game. So for the likes of the main intro scene where there is a massive battle going on, and the likes of a diamond weapon from Final Fantasy VII gets dropped in, the likes of Cerberus the three-headed dog gets dropped in as well. Imagine having full-scale battles against those enemies. It would just be fantastic. But do you think this is fantastic, or do you think it's a load of rubbish? Let me know down below. So there we have it, 6 Final Fantasy games which deserve a prequel game. If you like what you're seeing, please help me grow the channel by liking, sharing and subscribing. But until next time, tate bye!